In their first ever call, Russia's defense chief cautioned the top U.S. general about a large-scale Russian military exercise in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, according to a U.S. official, with tensions running high between the two countries over the escalating war in Ukraine. The call between Chief of Russian General Staff General Valery Gerasimov and U.S. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Charles Brown, which was initiated by Gerasimov, occurred November the 27th. The call took place 6 days after the Kremlin struck the Dnieper with an Oreshnik ballistic missile, the New York Times reports. The call was an initiative of the Russian side. The most interesting thing is that the Russian Federation was preparing to strike Ukraine with a new ballistic missile long before Biden gave the go-ahead to hit Kiev with American long-range weapons deep into the Russian Federation. On the one hand, the Oreshnik was equipped with a conventional warhead, but on the other hand, Putin wanted to show the West that he was ready to launch a nuclear strike on Ukraine. General Charles Brown's press service said that at Gerasimov's request, the telephone conversation could not be discussed out loud immediately after it ended. The call itself took place against the backdrop of Putin's worsening relations with the West. Not long ago, he made it clear that he was ready to fire his missiles not only at Ukraine, but also at countries that had given Kiev the go-ahead to strike deep into Russia. New threats began to be heard from the mouth of the Russian dictator after the White House allowed Ukraine to attack military facilities on Russian territory with American missiles. Also back in November, the Biden administration gave the go-ahead to supply Ukraine with anti-personnel mines to strengthen the Ukrainian Armed Forces defenses and front lines. Experts are still hesitant to say why Gerasimov insisted on keeping the phone call secret. The last time Putin's general spoke to his predecessor, Brown, was in 2022. The call also came amid concerns that Moscow was seeking to escalate the war in Ukraine. Recall, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced that it had launched hypersonic missiles and cruise missiles as part of an exercise in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. Russian frigates, Admiral of the Soviet Union fleet, Gorshkov and Admiral Golovko fired Zircon hypersonic missiles as part of the exercise, which included the Russian Navy and Aerospace Forces. The submarine Novorossiysk launched Caliber cruise missiles at a naval target, according to the ministry. The exercise involved more than 1,000 troops, 10 ships, and 24 aircraft, including MiG-31 fighter jets, armed with Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, the ministry said. Gerasimov did not explicitly mention the launch of hypersonic missiles in the call, according to the U.S. official. The U.S. currently has 2 destroyers operating in the Mediterranean Sea, the USS Bulkley and the USS Arleigh Burke, according to a spokesman for the Navy.
Pope Francis met Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán at the Vatican on Wednesday and discussed with him the war in Ukraine, focusing on the humanitarian situation and efforts to promote peace in the region. Francis also discussed other themes, including the Hungarian presidency of the Council of the European Union as well as the central role of the family and the protection of the young generations, the Vatican said in a statement. During his visit in Hungary last year, Francis met with some 35,000 Ukrainian refugees who remained in Hungary. Nearly 2.5 million refugees entered the Eastern European country early on in Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Orban has repeatedly called for a ceasefire in the war. But he has refused to supply Kiev with weapons, and he has threatened to veto EU sanctions against Moscow while maintaining Hungary's strong dependence on Russian energy. The Hungarian leader also met with Vatican Secretary of State Pietro Parolin and Miroslav Wachowski for relations with states.
Laudetur. Megköszönjem ismét Magyarország látogatását. Hálás vagyok, hogy fogadtál.